said my blessing, flowing down this blessing, something of the Spirit, for it is the way. Every trouble ceases, all my joy increases, something of the Spirit, blesses me with will. It's a special day, it's a special day, I can feel it deeply in a special way. It's a special day, it's a special day, I can feel it deeply in a special way.
And it is a special day. I am really, really excited, and I am filled with gratitude. Today, each and every one of us is going to participate in the 125th annual meeting of Church of the Oaks. Can you imagine what? I am so grateful for every one of you sitting here, but I'm grateful for every person that sat here for 125 years. Can you imagine what it has taken to keep these doors open? I'm going to tell you some about that today, but I hope that you all can sit here and look at this building that 13 families built with no power tools back in 1907. Their first meeting was June 4th, 1901. And if I do the math, today's the 125th one of those. Shortly after they started as an offshoot from the Sebastopol Congregational Church, they decided to have their board meeting the last Sunday in January, the members, and that way they could approve the budget for the year, see what they did last year, the last year books would be done, elect new officers, talk about their hopes and dreams for the coming future, and I think maybe give thanks for the commitment that those 13 founding members showed when they started without a clue how they were going to succeed. But they started and they had imagination. That's how we're going to end our service today. Imagination. So please join me in feeling this total gratitude for everything that we have been, are, and will be. And so it is. And I would like to welcome Cheri Buonaguidi and her friend John today. So happy she's here for this celebration. And take it away, lady.
Thank you. You know what a brilliant idea to have 13 members instead of a 12 where you could have a tie.
Yes.
They had an automatic tiebreaker. Well, we're celebrating a Jubilee, and so I have this beautiful song from Mary Chapin Carpenter called Jubilee. It really is a song about having a place like this place where we can come and share our joy, share our vulnerability, share our challenges, and be embraced by love. That's what this song's about. Here we go.
to all who have failed to account for their doubts and their fears. They can't add up to much without you. And if it were just up to me, I'd take hold of your hand, saying, come hear the band play your song at the Jubilee. I can tell by the way you're searching for something you can't even name, that you haven't been able to come to the table. Awfully glad that you came. When you feel like this, try to imagine that we're all like frail boats on the sea, just scanning the night for that great guiding light, announcing the Jubilee. I can tell by the way you're standing, with your eyes filling with tears, that it's habit alone keeps you turning for home, even though your home is right here, where the people who love you are waiting under this wise wishing tree. May we all be considered and straight on delivered down to the Jubilee, because the people who love you are waiting and will wait just as long as need be. When we look back and say these were halcyon days, we're talking about Jubilee. La da da da. La da da.
Perfect song, Cheri. Thank you so much. It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
It's good to have you all here today. And I'm just, pardon me if I get a little. Our Thursday, ladies, spiritual book study will be this coming Thursday. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right.
And we're actually meeting at Valley Village. We're hoping it will be warm.
Okay. All right. And Natalie, it's great to see you. Do you have any thoughts? And David as well. I was going to just talk about Natalie and the healing circle on Monday nights. Just don't be alarmed.
I just drive the limo.
Just grab the bus. That's it. What are any thoughts?
You know, it is. I'm still trying to crystallize how things
Okay.
are going to go forward. I'm
All
not
right.
sure Mondays are going to continue to work for our family schedules.
Okay. All right, well, the doors are open, so just let us know. It's a very special part of what we can offer on this corner, so thank you. I don't know what to say. I've just got annual meeting on the head today. And today is potluck. Doesn't make any difference if you brought food or not, just there's always something to eat, and there's always nourishment from each other. And that's the important part about fellowship after church here every Sunday, especially on potluck Sunday. Any other announcements that we need to know about? Yes?
I'll do two. The food barrel always needs help. Please do what you can. And just as a member of the community, I was able to go Saturday when they did the grand opening of the Redwood Gospel Mission Thrift in our town. So go support them. It's wonderful. Prices are similar to what they were in Santa Rosa. It's nice to have a place to donate our stuff locally. That's a good
On
thing.
Southwest Boulevard, is that?
Yeah, at
The
the
old
old
49er
49er Pet in
Yeah.
A section. So,
Out on Southwest Boulevard at that ghost town
yeah,
kind of
and
shopping
it's
center.
a huge, very clean space, and it was, you know, the community was it was well received, and maybe we could go back to our coffee thing, because they were offering their roasted coffee there.
Yeah, I think we can try to do that. That would
Huh?
be good.
I didn't check that when I was there yesterday, but I was front and center in the photo op, okay? And then another thing is like, see this empty altar? There's a calendar next door that offers an opportunity for us to give and bless the fellowship. And I don't know that we have a flower coordinator, but we do have that calendar. And somebody once upon a time used to make phone calls that was very welcome when I would forget that I was supposed to be that day. Right? So sign up and bless it, and everybody, when it's empty, it kind of inspires us to do a little better. Thanks.
Yes, then all they have to look at is me, which is not all that bad. Gloria.
Yeah, Bishop Eby, who presided over the coronation, the thing for Trump, she has been receiving death threats. And people are sending her cards of encouragement. I have the address and I have a little card if anyone
Okay.
wants to sign.
All right, thank you. You know, let's talk about people going through dark times and being in harm's way. Our board moderator, Catherine Stewart, is going to have, she said it was all right to tell you, she's going to have her a complete hysterectomy, a gallbladder removal, and fluid around her lungs removed this Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. She's in excruciating pain. And so she has uterine cancer, and she has messed up gallbladder, and she's just not having a great time in life right now. So please, let's share our light and our love and our highest good with Catherine. And I know there are other people. Ron is still going through huge challenge, and not only health challenge, but emotional challenges. It just, everybody around him is passing away, and that's so hard for Ron, because he really cares about the people he loves. And well, these people are no different than us. We're all going to have our times of darkness and challenge and bumps in the road. And so if you have a name of someone, holler that name out so we can hear it, and we will all share our light with the people that we say their names today.
Alice Gilmore.
Okay?
Richard and Tina.
Okay?
Linda. Cheri. Lewis. Dave. Steve and Annika.
Yeah.
Kevin?
Today's my mother's 93rd birthday, but she's thriving.
Yeah. We'll send her some balloons. We'll send her some balloons. All right, these names that we heard, they're just a few in millions. But when we send our love and our light out, it goes everywhere in our universe. There is no time, there is no space. There is energy, and the energy of our positive thoughts, our prayers, our love, that's what will reach people, especially the ones we name. So may we please just take a couple of minutes and send and share and give our light and our love. The highest good and the highest power of love. So it is. I'd like to sing this song for a lot of reasons today in this very room. This room has been here since 1907, and the amount of people that have sat in this room and shared all of themselves. Can you imagine what has transpired in this room? The energies, the love, the weddings, the baptisms, the memorials. It's in this room. There is enough of everything that we need all over the world. And so may we stand and sing this song together.
In this very room, there's quite enough love for one like me. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for one like me. And there's quite enough hope and quite enough power to chase away any gloom. For spirit, my spirit.
And now, for 125 years, there's been a tradition to greet each other in whatever way you might feel comfortable. I don't even have to talk about abundance. We feel it, we are the abundance. Let's just read together the affirmation for this special day. Our abundance is the 125 years of the dedication of our members, and that includes us. May we ponder that joy. Thank you, Michael, and thank you for being here today. Really appreciate your music. As we prepare ourselves for our meditation this morning, let's sing together In the Stillness of the Silence, number 97 in the Wingles.
In the stillness of the silence, I am one with perfect love. I am healed by living freedom. Joy that fills me, thrills me, mind and heart. In the stillness of the silence, I am one with the God of love. I am wise with thoughts so loving. His love fills me, thrills me, mind and heart. In the stillness of the silence, I am one with God the good. I am trusting as I listen. Faith that fills me, mind and
Great. Good morning. It's a glorious sunny day. Though when I awoke this morning, there were still bits and pieces of clouds here and there across the sky. There's an amazing cloudscape at the coast, and the last of the fog lifting off the hillsides. I'm a cloud dreamer. Anyone else here see figures, animals, creatures in the sky, patterns that make you wonder, how do clouds come together? How do they leave? I became conscious this morning as I looked through these windows of how thoughts are like clouds. They're shapeshifters, moving in and out of our awareness. Some thoughts are clouds, bunching together, trying to be bigger. Some are gathered together in quiet memories. They drift, and then they dissipate into nothing. Make a momentary connection with your thoughts as you relax and breathe more deeply. Breathe like a breeze, gently moving away the distractions. Connect with your inner sun a radiance that clears paths and patterns, accumulated memories and ideas that demand attention. There's time for that later. Breathe into the depth of your mind-body connection. Your radiant life force fills you with peace and tranquility of a clear mind and conscience. Take a few moments to enjoy the expansiveness of your inner sky. Move deliberately into meditation. 3 deep breaths in and out. And away you go. As you start coming back into this moment, bring with you consciousness, connection, clarity, and calm. Namaste.
A wise teacher of mine once said, speaking of our thoughts, that worry is negative future fantasy. So that if we're going to make up a story, why not make it great? And so on that note, I'm bringing this song from Bob Dylan, which I think is a great message of hope as we look at our current times and imagine that what we may envision, and it may come true. Here we go. With a frog in my throat, here we go. Come and gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have
have grown. And accept that it's soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, and you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are changing. Come writers and critics who prophesize with your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the year's still in skin, and there's no telling who that it's meaning. And the reason now will be later to win, for the times they are changing. Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorways, don't block up the hall. For he who gets hurt will be he who has stalled. The battle outside raging will soon shake your windows and run away the walls, for the times they are Come mothers and fathers throughout the land, and don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. The old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can't lend a hand, for the times they are a-changing. For the times they are a-changing. The line it is drawn, the curse it is cast. The slow one now will later be fast. As the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last, for the times they are a-changing. Yes, the times they are a-changing. The times they are a-changing.
Cheri, perfect song for today. I think a lot about changing and times and changing and how I'm going to change. I went to a conference a while back. It was a 3-hour conference. And they helped you get in touch with your spirit animal and identify that so you could kind of think about your future. And then we answered a bunch of questions, filled out a form, and I turned it in. When they got to me, they said, Mr. McCarty, we're not sure what your spirit animal is. All we know is it's extinct. Thank you, Cheri, and thank you, Joy, for meditation. Today I want to talk to you about some things that you may not know about this place, this family we call Church of the Oaks. At our annual meeting, I'm going to lay out for you most of the annual meeting packets since 2001. That's the first one I went to. And I have almost all of them. I do have them all on my computer, but I thought, these you can look through them if you have any interest. And I'm going to lay out all of the little phone books that we've had since 2001. And this one here, Ward's wife Susan did the last one. And so you can just kind of take a look. Back before Wayne started doing the newsletter online, we did them every month. And we not only type them, what we do, we send them. The board said we need to send them to everybody that doesn't. So the first Sunday of the month, we pass them out, and I write on it who got them, because we had a return address and everything. And then those we didn't have to waste a stamp on that we gave to, and then everybody else got theirs in the mail. So there's, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years of newsletters if you're interested. And tell you a little about this corporation we call, it's actually the McCarty Congregational Church Incorporated. And we were incorporated, I think, October of 2007. And right there's the corporation papers. We have the originals. And turns out the corporation in 2007 was only good for 50 years. Nobody at the Church of the Oaks figured that out or paid any attention to that. And in 2008, we had an accountant do our books. Because Jill Gardner said he was our treasurer. They said, I'd rather have an outside person do our taxes and our books for the year. So we did. And he messed up terribly and didn't file them. And we got fined, we got shut down, and then we found out that we weren't a corporation since 1957. And we had neglected to pay income tax and property tax since 1957. So we had coming at the church that time a lady that lived right next door to Yvonne's hairdresser down in Petaluma. And she worked for an attorney. She said, let me take this to my boss. So he wrote a letter begging the Secretary of State to forgive our ignorance as a nonprofit that nobody even had to have a high school education to be part of the board or anything. So he did an amendment back from 1957 to make it a lifetime corporation now. But it took a couple of years to get our non-tax. They came from Sacramento. They wanted to look at our hymnals and our order of service and our back newsletters. And we had a couple other things that let them know we were actually a church, had not stopped having services since 1901, and we were, in fact, legitimately a church. It took a long time. We finally got okay, though. So part of what helped in that, I wanted to tell you something else about our corporation. Let me make sure I got this right. We are not a 501c3 corporation. Most churches are. We were incorporated in 1907. The IRS was not formed until 1913. And they did not establish a 501c3 tax code until the Revenues Act of 1954. So we would like very much this year to redo our corporation for several reasons. There are property tax exemption programs. We pay property tax on the Rose Cottage because we lease it to cops. But there are programs available to make that tax-free since they are tax-free. They are a 501c3. But they only allow those to corporations that are 501c3. So we need to resubmit, if anybody knows a lawyer, we'd like to talk with them. And the other thing is, I know that Doug and Becca, Doug used to work for a company that would match his contributions to Church of the Oaks if it went through his corporation donation program. I think that's a good enough explanation. But they wouldn't do it because we weren't a 501c3. And there are a couple of other people. Joelle, her company, will do the same thing. We tried. We're not a 501c3, so we don't, but we're leaving money laying on the tables. So we need to get this done as soon as we can. That's all I'm going to talk about corporations. Now, back in 1906, there was a lady that came to church here, Anne Gray Bird, and she was interested in history, in our history. So I helped a little bit. You remember Anne? We started the Church of the Oaks Historical Committee, and we carried down all of the minutes, all of the records since 1901. And she did a little book, the first 20 years, in their own words. This is all the minutes from the first 20 years, all the different things that happened, the deeds, year by year. In going through this, you will find out that the ladies, the 11 ladies that were on the founding members of this organization, they started a thing called the Ladies' Aid Society. The Ladies' Aid Society built Cotati. They built Church of the Oaks. This was built in 1907. They were in charge. They had their husbands doing the work, and they did lunch. And then in 1908, St. Joseph's Catholic Church was built right across the way on West Cotati Avenue. In 1909, the Ladies' Aid Society, this wasn't enough. They built the hall, which is now near Shalom. And they were still part of Church of the Oaks, but the Ladies' Aid Society had special deed to that. And in 1910, they built the hall next door. So they were the backbone of creating this little town we call Cotati. So Anne did this first 20 years, and she thought, well, that's kind of not real complete. So she went through and did the first 100 years. Now, she made 2 copies. Originally, they were bound with GBC binding, that little plastic thing, kind of like the songbooks are, only they were big. They were this big. And we had 2 copies. We gave one to the museum because we thought we were part of the history of Cotati. And we had the other one here, and we loaned it out. And I think the last person that borrowed it was Jimmy Kane. And it's nowhere to be found. And he moved to Oregon. So, a couple weeks ago, I got in touch with the museum. I borrowed this copy. And I have a dream about this. I think if we could find a pewter dude who would like to scan this and scan it, keep adding to it as one document, then we could put it on our website. Okay? And I think that would be tremendous. It goes up to the year 2000. I'm going to read you some things that I found in here. That was the one I was going to read with the charter members, but I'm going to read it in a little minute. The Ladies' Aid Society. They cleaned the hall and did the dishes. And a motion was made that $4 be drawn from the treasury to pay a balance on the piano. And another request was for $44 to pay the insurance on the hall and church for 3 years. We pay $800 a month. And I just thought that was an interesting little bit of news. And this, I'm going to read this. There's another part of this book that you might like to read. It's right up front in the second page. Esther Leaf Green, some of you remember Esther. She was the daughter of one of our charter members. And I don't know which one, because the names are different. Leaf and Green were her married names. She had a son She actually adopted Ralph when he was an infant. And Ralph did a wonderful page. He was like the head sports writer for the Press Democrat for years. I knew Ralph pretty well, and he wrote a wonderful couple pages. And over that, Prue and Lloyd Draper wrote some, but I'm going to flag this first page for you if you'd like to read it. I'm not going to read it because it'll take too much by the time I get done. But I am going to read this for you. I think it's very interesting. This was written by Marguerite Hahn, 1955 it was written. Under the leadership of Reverend Charles Kirkland, 13 charter members organized the Cotati division of Sebastopol Congregational Church in 1901. Within a year, the relationship with Sebastopol was severed and the local church became independent and self-governing and has remained so ever since. In 1906, the trustees of the new church purchased the present site upon which the church building now stands from the Cotati Land Company for a then high figure of $100. In 1907, the same Cotati Land Company deeded as a gift the other 2 lots, which is the hall and where the cottage is. It was a gift. From the original 13 charter members, the church has progressed and then slipped back as inevitable for any organization. Over 55 years the church has been in existence. It has only one full-time minister. Although some of the ministers were local residents, they also served in Pengrove Community Church, and this explains to the great extent of the little growth of the adult community, because much of the time student pastors in residence in Berkeley were the only pastoral duties one day out of the week that they would come up here and be a guest minister. Charter members. The original charter members were William Otis, Mrs. Etta Thompson, Mrs. Alice B. Middleton, Mrs. A. Davidson, Maud King, Thora Muller, Mrs. J. Vallier, Harris P. Matheson, and Mrs. Matheson, Miss M. E. Matheson, Helen Matheson, William Phipps, and Mary Phipps. It was mostly women, and they were the Ladies' Aid Society, and they took that very seriously. In 1955, one of the buildings from the freeway right-of-way this spring, 1955, was purchased by the church and moved to the church property next to the church hall, facing on Page Street. The building was a 2-story house. The top story was removed and the bottom floor remodeled into a modern home. Now, with a parish house and the interest which can be drawn to the church by a resident minister, hopes are high that we will have a resident minister. So it goes on, but I've got a lot of stuff to share with you. But that's a little history that I thought might be interesting. Well, I found something. New carpet was bought in 1967 for $501. I thought it was this, but I was in error. It was later. Kelly just painted our church sign, that big old piece of oak log with Church of the Oaks carved out of it. She painted the letters white. Well, this was done in 55 or 56. Oh, 1971. In 1971, Henry Signs in Sebastopol will make a carved sign with the same inscription as the old sign, stain the wood and paint the letters white, and put a rope over it and 4x4s for the place it in the ground for $240. So that's what that sign cost back then, and it's still working out just fine. I don't know what happened to the roof. Don't know. This church was part of the area congregational church, whatever the conference, whatever the group was called. Well, at some point, they had a Church of Christ minister, and inspired them to withdraw from the congregational church and become part of the United Church of Christ group. That went on for a little while. That was in 1974. Then in 1975, this all-member meeting voted to withdraw from the Church of Christ. And then there was some other interesting things. In 1982, the city of McCarty became a rent-controlled city. And since they were renting the cottage out from time to time, they established that the base for that rent control would be whatever the market price was in 1982. And you might be interested to know that in 1982, the base price that took on rent control conformity was set at $195 a month in 1982. Now, oh, there's another one here, yes. This one got my attention. 1982. This was the all-members meeting. The drainage problems and Oak Tree problems, and the belfry is sinking. They had to jack up the belfry, the whole front corner. Trustees requested to obtain bids and include gutters and downspouts. And the repairs were completed by August. Another person was called to fumigate the bees. A new redwood fence was put in the parking lot. I'm sorry, that was not what just 1983 is what got me. Let me read down. The board determined that a service with sing-along guitars, modern music, church music, speeded up with the swing should be held in the hall, not in the church. The phone had been locked up to keep people from using it, so they voted to change the phone number and remove the lock. Heated discussions on evening services, offering a list of those attending with full report to the board each month. On April 10th, 1983, a motion was made by David, whoever David was, that Harold be removed as pastor of the Church of the Oaks. He stated 17 reasons for removal. I don't know what he did, but there was a bunch of them. Harold was asked if he would like to resign instead. He said no. He thought he had the board in his pocket. The final vote, 1 no, and 1 undecided, and 7 yes. Kick him out. Reverend, somewhere down here. And the minister that, I don't know, anyway, they threw out him and the minister and his wife, took their membership away and asked them to go away. And they did, so that got my attention right away. That could happen to you. Some of you remember Joel Kemmerer. Joel was hired in 1985 as the minister. And he did that for about 12 years, I think. And in 1985 or 86, the Ladies' Aid Society changed their name. And they called themselves the Women's Fellowship. And this is hilarious. The Women's Fellowship have been inactive this past year. Our small group have suffered from old age, illness, and inability to get out for meetings. They were worn out since 1901. They were just worn out. So that was the last I heard or saw in here about the Ladies' Fellowship, but they were still, if you go through these minutes, all these years, the church minutes were one page. The Ladies' Aid Society, pages and pages, every event. They sold soap, they sold tea towels, they sold blankets and quilts, they sold wash rags and towels, they sold bee honey, they sold food, and that's what kept this church and actually the city of Cotati alive by all the things they did in this town. Amazing group of women. And something that kind of amazed me, in 1989, the budget here was approved for $19,400. That was 25, 35, 36 years ago. You would think, based on that, our budget ought to be 100, 150,000. It's, I think, just a whisker over 70,000. And I think that's amazing that we can still be that close to the belt, operate all three of these buildings and maintain our services, our buildings for our 12-step groups that meet, and have weddings and all kinds of events here, and cabaret and bingo soon to happen, and to have all of that happen for way less than $100,000 a year. I just think it's remarkable. That comes from a lot of people doing a lot of stuff and doing it as frugally and as cost conscious as possible. And that's been, for 25 years, I've seen, we shut off the hot water, we got rid of the phone, we did everything we could to keep costs at a minimum. We spent money on things we needed to spend money on and didn't. And we're still, a lot of churches, 50% of the churches that closed their doors during COVID, never opened them up again. We not only survived, we thrived through COVID. And one of the things I'm grateful for, our income was cut sharply. And we didn't have church for a year and a half. But I was in here every Saturday night talking to the camera on the wall to deliver some sort of message. And my housing allowance, my salary, never changed 1 penny all the way through. That's commitment, and that's loyalty. And that's the kind of commitment and kind of loyalty that's kept this church for 125 years. And we got this many people showing up. I'm just amazed. But what I found out, looking through more of this, that in 1992 is when this carpet was actually put in, and the cost was, I think, $1,200. And it was not very good carpet. It's lasted a while, but it just, every time they tried to clean it, it made a yellow spot. It washed the dye out of the carpet. So anyway, maybe we can get that going one of these days again. So I never knew exactly for sure when Vivian started here. Her husband died in what was the town she was from? Milwaukee, I think. And she came out here. Her daughter lived in Cotati at the time, so she relocated out here to Oakmont. And she came to church here and met Joel Kemmerer. And after they discussed things in 1993, he hired her to be associate minister and when somebody gives you advice, what do they call that? What's that?
Advisor.
Advisor, yeah, for him. And then there's some more things in here, but he left in about 98, I think. And it doesn't say. It just doesn't say. And that's when Vivian took over. And I showed up in August of 2000, and they asked me to be on the board by the end of the year. And I think Kelly was the board chairman when I joined the board. And there was a lady named Dorothy Ganano. Back then we had deacons and trustees. Deacons were basically the gals, and they did the gal stuff. They kind of worried about the services and the flowers and the food and the deacons. Those were mostly guys, and they fixed stuff that was busted and did guy stuff, projects, except Dorothy Ganado. She was a trustee. And so anyway, she said, I think Patrick should be on the board and I should retire. He's going to take my chair. And I did. I was appointed, and then that next annual meeting I was appointed as a trustee. And then I think the year after, or the year after, I think 1902 is when I became board. 20,000. This history thing has got me mixed up. In 2002, I think, is when I became board moderator. And I've seen so many things happen, and we've had some issues over time. And I've seen board meetings where there was screaming and yelling and swearing and throwing stuff, and actually there were a few fist fights out in the yard. And but
Can we eat first?
what's that?
Can we eat first?
Sure, we can eat first today. But this is quite an interesting book, and you're welcome to look through it. Be very careful that none of the pages rip or get out of sync. But I'm looking forward to getting this scanned. I think if you scan it and put up one document and keep adding the scans to it, I think it comes out a whole document that we can print it out if we want to in one thing. Ward just kind of volunteered that he'd take that on. And that's going to take a little while, but I think once it's there, I think what a treasure to have that on our website for anybody in the world to read, and it can last a lot longer. Websites will be perpetuated however technology dictates. And so I just think that that's some history that you may not have ever been aware of. And I'll put all this stuff on the stage and spread it out. You can look through it as you want. And I have a dream that by the end of this year, that I can take a video camera, get notes, and take all this stuff that I've got from the last 25 years and do a little video or a book, but mostly a video, and put it on our website for the next 25 years. And then maybe somebody can take on the historic duties from that point on. And but I think that have documentation from our first meeting in June 1901 to today. I think that's such a prized thing. How many places actually have a year-by-year synopsis of everything that happened? And we just need to hang on to that. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer questions, but oh my God, oh gosh, we're way overdue. So let's go eat, let's have a wonderful fellowship together and a wonderful annual meeting. And none of this would have happened. Not one day of Church of the Oaks would have happened if it weren't for 13 people's imagination and commitment. So let's bring our imagination next door with us. Let's sing Imagine, shall we? And again, Cheri, thank you for being here, and thank all of you for being here.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. Wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Hello, amen, shall we?
We're going to